Today's topic on what the heck is happening in HR is one of your favorites. It's I-9 audits today. For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. Thanks for coming back to what the heck is happening in HR. So we are 6 months or more into the year, and you still haven't done your I-9 audit. I'm here to remind you about it. It has not gone away. The fines have gone up, and I really need you to do a few things to get this moving. It's a great time to bring in an intern. If you have the opportunity to bring an intern in and have them work on an I-9 project, it's a great way to start cleaning all that up, because I can assure you, you have some issues in it. I've yet to find a completely clean I-9 audit. So again, what's the purpose of the I-9? The I-9 form's purpose today is to make sure you are who you say you are, photo ID, and you are eligible to work and authorized to work in this country, the United States. That's the reason those exist. So I want to be sure you do them. They have a new form out. You want to be sure you're using the latest form. And I want to give you a few things to be sure you check on. One is employees sometimes use nicknames, and you might sign a nickname. Don't do that. Sign your full legal name, and that's what the employee needs to use. Check your date format, because some people, especially if they're coming from other countries, may end up writing it with the date and then the month. And instead, we want to do month with 2 spaces, date with 2 spaces, and year with 4 spaces. No whiteout. Now, my former employees will laugh at this, because one of the things I always collected when I became head of a department was the whiteout. It just has no place in HR. It looks horrible, and if it becomes Exhibit A in some lawsuit, then I can assure you that it will show up saying, wow, what else have they covered up? So don't use the whiteout. And you really don't need to be able to use that anymore. You need to have a separate folder, a separate notebook of your I-9 forms. They do not go in your payroll folder. They do not go in your benefit folder. They do not go in the one folder where you're throwing everything in there. So when you have a folder for personal records, let's just use that old term, personal record, your employment record, that should be something that you could hand to a supervisor who might be considering them for a promotion. Maybe they're new in the company. Maybe they want to move them to another department for them to get some developmental assignments. You should be able to hand it to them, that folder, and it will tell everything about that employee. When they came, where they came from, their compensation, training they've had, some appropriate comments made by customers or other employees or projects or certifications they have, performance reviews are in there. And of course, at any point when they do terminate, that's where termination paperwork would go. I-9s have all that information that don't have anything to do with that. It has your creed, it has your national origin, it has your age, it has all sorts of information in it. And same with payroll, by the way. You might be claiming extra for tax purposes. You might have a benefits file where you have children that you've adopted or that you are responsible for their insurance, but you're divorced and you don't want anyone to know that. Well, that has nothing to do with your job. So that's why you keep a benefits folder separate, you keep drug tests separate, kind of a security file, and you keep payroll information separate. And you keep that personal record kind of clean. So I-9s have their own folder. And of course, you're going to keep I-9s generally for 3 years from date of hire or 1 year from date of termination. Now, there's a few little details around that. And the guide you want is what's called the M274. It's a federal government publication that's really very helpful and giving you information on how to correct them, how to complete them, what visas look like, what authorization documents are. And if you are on E-Verify, the E-Verify site can be very helpful as well. But you want to be sure you keep it separate, and you want to be sure you shred those you no longer need. Last thing you want to do is to be fined for something you didn't even need to have. You want to be sure that the person signing reads the attestment. So they're attesting that they have read it, that they've completed it, and you want to be sure that they note when they did sign it and be sure that it is recorded properly. Remember, only employees can make changes to Section 1, and only employers can make changes to Section 2. I did read recently that they'd want no stamps. I know that some people would stamp the name of the company and the address because they got tired of writing it in. I have not seen anything directly on that, and maybe I've just missed it, but I want you to be sure to check to see if being able to use a stamp is something that is important to use. There are English versions, and that's what you should be using. The Spanish version is really for Puerto Rico and for them to be able to use. So the fines have gone up again. Some cases, I think they're up like 20% over the past 2 years. And that's whether it was willful, whether it's a repeat offender. So you want to be sure that you are doing that I-9 audit. And one of the things you want to be sure to do is schedule it out, get that intern. You can look at the Department of Labor fact sheet number 71 if you're not sure how interns work in the government, or not in the government, but because of the government. They have internships certainly with not-for-profits and government folks, and that is covered in that. But for those of you in private industry, you might wonder, how do internships really work anymore? And that will give you some good information. Again, DOL fact sheet number 71. And this would be a wonderful internship for a new employee or an intern, because they will learn people. They will learn how not to have this happen whenever they go to another organization. What we do hope is that if you ever leave your organization, you haven't left your Monday morning with the new episode of What the Heck is Happening in HR. Looking forward to chatting with you soon.